Hey everyone, I'm Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com, and today we are breaking from tradition. RC Groups, RC stands for radio controlled, and there's nothing RC related behind me, but we have embraced 3D printing recently because of all the amazing things we can print for our planes and quads and cars and FPV and all the things that we do. I'm going to start out by saying we're joined with team RC Group members, editors, admins, whatever you want to call them. We have Matt Gunn on the far left-hand side.
Hello.
And then we have, yeah, it's like no one's ever met you before.
Hello.
And then we have Jason Cole in the middle.
Howdy, y'all. Isn't that the Nashville country greeting?
So I was thinking, who is the first person to have purchased and used a 3D printer? Is it you, Matt?
It is. I think. Yes,
Definitely.
I am.
Of us three, you didn't specify. You just said who was the first, and I'm like, man, that's some history.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
V2 Max from CME CNC. Still use it to this day.
A V2 Max. And how many printers do you have at this time?
Just one. I had two, and I sold one. It was the CME CNC Iris, and I liked it and all. It was another Delta printer, small one. But I had to let it go because I wasn't using it at the time, and I didn't understand the awesome value that PLA has over ABS.
Yeah, okay. We could talk about that. Now, Jason, you then picked up the mantle and ran with it. You have a room dedicated to 3D printers with cameras, and you're always printing. What the heck's going on?
Yeah, so I'm printing right now.
Are you really?
I am. It's going to be actually what will be my first PETG material print.
Yeah, flexi.
It's going to be a chess piece. Here's the first. This one I stopped. I'm working on my stringing and retraction settings and temperatures. I'm trying to dial it in. So anyway, I stopped it and I'm reprinting with different settings to see. But yeah, so I was like, I got to do this. I've bought 3D printed parts before.
Button.
10 points right there for button.
Bringing it back.
Button.
So I had 3D printed parts before that for things that I needed for RC, and I was like, yeah, it'd be great if I could do this. I thought it was super difficult to beyond my skill level, even though I have a computer information systems minor from college. I just didn't I don't want to have to learn CAD and all. I just didn't think it was accessible to me at the time. And then some reason I started researching it. I bought a $200 monoprice mini to play with, a little small 120 by 120 millimeter print bed, and played with that, and then got the review unit from GearBest on the Anycubic i3 Mega, and it's much bigger 220 by 220 print bed, and just have been loving it ever since. I've made parts that I need for around the house. I've got an awesome little electric shaver holder that's in my bathroom. My wife loves the chip clips. We made Christmas gifts out of them this Christmas, all kinds of fantastic stuff. And the best was when I did a review for Castle Creations on the Mamba X Crawler Edition speed controller combo.
So this would be a RC car that you can put a camera on and drive through a set of goggles.
Yeah, so I was upgrading the power system from Castle on a Rock Ray, and the existing speed controller had built-in mounting tabs as part of its case. And I didn't want to just double sticky tape or Velcro down the new speed controller. So I went into Tinkercad, started playing around, and designed a mounting box with a top and printed it off, and it worked perfectly. And I ended up loading it on the Thingiverse and told people what I did with it and why. And then the other day, a couple weeks ago, I was checking out some of the posts and saw someone posted a picture of that. And I was like, that looks familiar. And they're like, printed this from Thingiverse. It works great. I'm like, hey, that's mine. So I designed that. So it was just this really neat feeling to go from, not knowing anything about it to enjoying it, using it, and designing a part that now other people are then using for themselves. Really cool.
Let's jump back into that later, and maybe we'll get online and we can show it on Thingiverse. I call it Thingiverse. It never occurred to me to call it Thingiverse.
No, yeah, that was my question. Is it Thingiverse or Thingiverse? I'm going with Thingiverse.
It is an I.
Call it Thingiverse.
But we do
Thingiverse.
Jason, you do pronounce things different than Matt and I. So I think
think of a thingy. It's a thingy, right?
Yeah, but
it's a thingiverse.
Universe and thing.
But I buy Thingiverse.
There's no INGY in there.
But here's what we're going to do, y'all. So basically what's going on is there's so many things to talk about on these 3D printers that there's no way on earth we can do this in 60 minutes. So what I thought we would do today is talk about who we are, what we have, and kind of go over some things. I certainly have too many things to discuss today. And then maybe we'll break out, if people like this, we'll break out and do other YouTube Hangouts where we just talk about Thingiverse or Tinkercad, or these things that if you're buying a printer, you need to know about. I just purchased with the family this unit for a father-in-law. And I told him that buying something like this is complicated. This is not like a paper printer where you buy paper, put it in and hit print. It is a nonstop learning. Now, Jason, it seems to me, by the way, I have a CR10. Jason said, if you're going to get something, get this. GearBest provided this. I did a full review where I talk about building it, tweaking it, tightening everything up. Thingiverse, Tinkercad, it's all up there on rcgroups.com. Look up CR-10, Jim T. Graham, RC Groups. Jason, do you not have trouble with yours? It seems like yours just print. You never have any issues.
I've had several issues, but not near to the scale you've had for some reason. But I mean, I think once I got the print bed settings down, and any issue I have is a result of me trying to learn and play with settings, seems like. So the print beds I have for some reason are amazing. They stick. I rarely have adhesion issues or anything like that. And so it's just me trying to get the most highest quality out of the prints that I can get by, changing the resolution settings and the infill, and not having the infill show by having enough wall thickness. And there's all these little nuances to it, just like the RC hobby, that you kind of need to learn and go through and read about. And that's what anything that I'm have trouble with is usually a direct cause of me playing around and trying to make something do differently than I normally would.
Well, I have a whole list here of things in the last week, especially I was trying to make something for my mother before Christmas, and man, I couldn't get anything right. And the good part is it's like tearing your 350 engine apart. Once you do it 3 or 4 times, you got it. And I definitely feel like I understand the machine. But just let's assume that we have new people on, because it is a newbies/beginners podcast. Let's show some of the kick butt things that we've created. So, and that's the trick. You can print anything, but is it useful? My wife would say some things, not so much. In fact, I have the number one appreciated item I printed for my wife. But let's start out with these. What the heck are these?
This is like something for some FPV goggles.
Yeah, so these actually slide and pop into Oculus Rifts. You go to zenny.com, which is where I buy my glasses anyway. And then they say, okay, order this particular frame. And I have 2 sets of frames over there with no lenses in it. And then this is made to fit the lenses from that Zenny frame. So it was like $12 to order these lenses with frames shipped. Let's call it 20 out the door. And then I printed these. And what you do is you make sure up and down is right, so you don't have your lenses upside down. And then this pops in my Oculus Rift for
put them on right now. Slide them in under your hat.
These are actually for my son. Ooh, I look pretty interesting.
Again, you look like Anakin Skywalker pod racer.
I think I have a podcast career if I wear these all the time. I look French. But these pop in, and then it makes I've found that it makes my Oculus experience a lot better. This is probably one of the cooler things I've printed. And then you can't really see it, but this is a lithophane right here.
I can see it. Yeah.
It doesn't in real life. These actually look like, I don't know, like that. Look,
you can see it really nicely.
Yeah. So now these are drawings, ink drawings by my wife, and I took them, and that's a bird. I took them and printed them, but check this out. So when the light's off, it's just a white box. But when the light goes on and you're not on camera, it looks like the picture itself. And so these slide in and out of slots, and it's just a 3D printed inverse photo.
Very cool.
And so this is what I was making for my mother. I was taking 3 scenes from her house in Mexico, and I ran into some G-code problem. And then Matt Gunn's favorite thing that I've printed so far.
I can't believe you made it through those print sessions.
Yeah, well, it wasn't real bad. Now, I do think that the infill was too much. You could kill someone with this, but I have a pair of steering.
Well, all the better for the front of a vehicle then, right?
Yeah, right. If you're really going to utilize this. So these are pretty cool. And this is the beauty of the CR10. It's 400 tall. So you can actually, and this wasn't the tippy top, but you can make something pretty big with that unit.
So how did you find those, the STL file for those?
I went to Thingiverse and found these horns, and they were only this big. They were like devil horns.
Yeah,
I took them into Tinkercad, and all I did was stretch them out, and bang, I had big steer horns. Now
you can do that directly in Cura, right? You can scale models, and you can see how it looks on your print bed.
Right. Well, I actually tried that the other day, and I couldn't find it, but I knew that it was there. I have more, and I'll get over to you guys, but this. So I made my wife a lot of things, and she was like, "Thanks, honey."
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, this 3D printer, it revolutionizes things you could buy for $1. It took 22 hours to print. But I saw her struggling, so I went to Thingiverse and I found this and I printed it. And then when she came in her office the next day,
a toilet paper holder.
No, well, yeah, it could be. It's a paper towel holder that sits next to where she draws her inks.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
And so the next day I was like, well, what do you think? She said, this is the greatest gift you've ever given me. Paper towels on command.
Nice.
So what about you guys? What have you made that's super cool?
I didn't make anything functional yet, but I made Groot here.
Oh, yes.
I got my Groot. As you can see, it was done in white. And then my son and I just put some acrylic brown on him. And I literally colored his eyes really fast with a Sharpie marker. So, it's pretty cool. I mean, again, what's the usefulness of this? Well, it sits on your desk and it looks really cool. And then my favorite thing that I've ever made, and I know Jason made one too, is this birdhouse that is awesome. Craftsman style birdhouse.
Yep.
It printed in 4 or 5 different pieces, and it all goes together without glue. So it snaps together. You can see where it snaps in the back, and all these pieces just go together. The guy that put this together won a contest on Thingiverse for designing a birdhouse, and this is it. So this was done in PLA, white PLA. It took, I want to say about 18 hours. I think it was 10 hours for one piece, 8 for the whole rest of all the other pieces. It's got drains in the bottom of it to get all the bird poo out of there, and there's 2 drains on the side and a drain on the bottom, and it literally is designed extremely well. The guy that made this, I can only imagine, is an engineer, because it was done very nicely. You can see there's room in there, perches and stuff. Now I'm having some issues with my top layer. You can see these little strange lines in here. Basically it prints flat like this, and it doesn't need any support at all, period. The way he designed it on the inside minimizes the flat overhang. So for those that don't 3D print, support means if you print this, there needs to be something in between here for the printer to rest against when it's laying down the stuff, or else when it squirts out the plastic, it's got nothing to hit.
It's just printing on air instead of
surface. Right. So this piece obviously printed upright. This piece, the main piece, printed on its side here. I put them together. It needed 0 support. And of course, there are exceptions to the rule, like as far as the gap that you can do when you don't need support. But things generally print better when you lay down a bridge underneath it.
I find that supports are almost impossible to totally remove. It just ruins it.
You can really cut down, though, on the amount on how the support fuses with the actual piece. So you can reduce that number so much that they don't even touch, and they flake off when you breathe on them wrong. Or you can change it so it really infuses in there. There's so many settings to use. So those are 2 items I'd have here. And I guess the only other item that we talked about before is the tiny whoop case. We've all been there. We've done the tiny whoop case. Most
I
of
have not.
Yeah.
I did one for the Inductrix Plus, the new version.
Jason's got a big boy. I got the smaller one. This one's made out of ABS.
Let's Jason talk and show that one more time.
So this is the Inductrix FPV Plus case with the 500 milliamp hour batteries, and it's a bigger frame for the Inductrix Plus, so it doesn't fit in the smaller case, but this thing works great.
Super cool.
Yeah, well, this guy Wick says he printed 4 of the birdhouses for the kids, and it took 22 hours to print just the front. And I believe it. They're not easy. They do take a long time.
That's the thing about 3D printing is it's an investment. I mean, it's not like you have to stand there for 22 hours, but if something goes wrong, like happened today, by the way, my mirror, so I changed to a mirror on my Surface and it magically took away all my problems. I was using PEI before that, and I guess it got old, but it wasn't broken last night, but I went to move this today and the mirror was shattered, I guess, from some weird temperature change.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but luckily I bought 5 for $9. Check this out.
Your print head didn't slam into it and break it?
No, because this was sitting on top of it. The drawer was. So check this out. If you can see back here, the LED screen of that's the control unit, right? And my son pointed out, why is the fan cooling that on the bottom and it's next to I have an Indian rug it's sitting on. And I was like, you're exactly right, man. That should not be trying to vent onto a rug. So I found this. Check it out.
Nice.
Yeah, I found that. I don't know why it has this line here. There's zero reason for that. It shifted a little bit. But let me tell you what not to do. What I learned from this unit: 25% infill is not enough.
Look at that. What is that supposed to be on the back?
Well, it's supposed to be flat, and it was. It was printed like this, and then when I went to knock it off the plate, I ripped the whole bottom off.
Oh, holy!
Yeah, so like 22 hours later, you're like, damn. And then, but it's still usable. It gets that thing up off the ground, and it gets it in the air.
Glue the bottom back on it. That's what I've done in the past.
It was kind of deformed, but then today I printed this drawer. Yeah. So all the crap I have, like nozzles and random things that are over there, will go. I'm going to redo both of these, of course, but I now have a place to put everything, and it sits on top. And
you basically printed a shoebox.
Here's a question:
that's what your wife would say.
Is the temperature of the air that it's venting hot enough to melt the PLA that it's sitting on top of?
Okay. Let me tell you what I did. I need to go back in and tweak it, and I'm probably going to upload it when I'm done. What's it called when you redo somebody's design?
Yeah.
They have a name for it. But anyway, I took that guy's design, and where the air fan is, I cut vents. I did a circle with vents, and then when I put the Billy Hell Maker logo on the handle on the front. So I have a whole retweaked design that takes that into consideration, Jason. But no, I do not think it's that hot.
Yeah, that's good.
Another guy, I don't have.
It's called
Remix.
Yeah, another guy is totally designing a printed box for the whole unit and the fan and everything, so that it takes I've got that too here. Everybody likes to update their fans. The fan in this thing whines like it's broken, and it's not, because I've taken it apart twice. But there's a new design for the head unit where you can mount a bigger fan. It mounts on top. And then I said, man, put a drawer underneath it. And we've got it licked. This is my box of fans. So I have,
fans aren't cheap, man. $10 a pop.
Yeah, they're not. But the great part about so I've got every fan you could replace on this in this box. I just haven't done it yet. Everything on a machine, there's like $15 to $20, max 30.
Mm-hmm.
It's never hard to buy a new anything because they're so cheap.
Yeah.
So we use 2 different types of, basically, I'm the odd man out. With you guys are using, what is the type of printer you use? What's it called?
FDM.
What is FDM?
Internet FDM?
I don't think so. I don't know. Well, mine's a Delta Arm printer, and yours is it basically uses the, oh my gosh, I forgot.
XYZ axis.
I forgot what the name of it is called, that style of printer.
Maybe you could get on your computer and find what yours looks like, because it is pretty interesting looking.
Oh, yeah.
Did you review yours, Matt?
I did not. I built it outright, and it was this one. It was going to be a review, but it had
isn't it fused deposition modeling, FDM?
no. It's. I'm talking about the ARM style, where
That's what that is. Yeah, there's Delta, and then there's FDM, I believe.
Well, the one this big boy here, I was going to do a review on, and I had a major problem with the bed. Leveling the bed, I could not get any prints right. I had massive problems, and we decided, let's just not do this review. Let's do the Iris instead, and that's when I did the Iris. And then I finally got this thing working, and it had already been replaced twice over. It was on V3, and that's a V1. So it's definitely paid for itself over and over again, because it's been printing for 2 years now, I haven't changed a single thing on it. So I love it. Let's see if I can find it. You guys talk.
Jason, do you have any photos of your printing room? Because it's so dang awesome.
I don't think I do.
Can you take your iPhone and show us each printer? Or do you have live feeds coming off of each printer right now?
Well, the only live feed I have is that one. So I moved it to a close-up. So all you can see is, a close-up of what it's doing right now.
So this is happening in another room, and the live feed allows us, I have it too. I can bring mine up. Yeah, it's right there. So there's where my printer should be living, and I have it focused right on the head like that, so I can see any issues. The other thing I did is I went to Amazon and bought a Bluetooth power outlet that allows you to turn the outlet on and off. So if my printer were to go crazy and I was at the movie, which I actually called my daughter, went to a movie, and I said, go ahead and just turn it off. I don't like the idea of it running with me out of the house. But with this Bluetooth controller, I could literally from my phone go click and just turn the dang thing off. So
it was right. So FDM is the style of printers that Jim has and I use. It's basically moves the nozzle over the build platform horizontally and vertically, and then the build platform moves forward and backwards as it prints. So it's actually the most popular style of 3D printer is FDM.
It is. And the Delta ARM printer, they say has really good resolution, but is one of the most difficult to fine tune. And I believe it. It was not easy to get the bed leveling right and things like that.
But it's also the fastest too, right?
Oh, it is definitely
much more faster printing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really get in there tight, but that's what the unit looks like. So it's operating on those axes, and then the head right here is where you're printing your PLA. And then up here is my filament. I mounted it to the top, and then you just switch that out. And then the bed, of course, is where the print lives. So are y'all ready for the reveal, or should I save it of the best thing?
I want to see it. I've been waiting.
All right. So the goal was to print something that's cool, but useful. And so the one thing I'm always have is my phone and my Apple Watch laying around. Hey, did y'all see this new bracelet? I'm pretty sure I showed it to you.
Oh yeah. That's pretty hot.
Okay. So, it started out as, this is actually not the original that was on Thingiverse. This was my tweaked original. So, the iPhone sits here, and then I put my logo on the front, which turned out really a lot better than I thought it would. And then I put a wood grain. I went and found a piece of wood, and then after I would build things, I would lay it on top and then cut out all the holes in Thingiverse and then print it or in Tinkercad. So this did not work. The watch thing was too low. This was too short. And so then I moved to this one. And this one actually is my favorite. The logo is just blasting, man. But once again, I realized I made this watch band, which is pretty big and thick, and this did not work. And this was still too, and the slot was too far over. And I was like, okay, let's do another 22 hours. I'll redesign it.
Yep.
So here's the product that no one has seen. I wouldn't let the guys see it until today.
About to yank some wires out of somewhere.
There we go. So this is wood PLA, and everybody, I read about this on Facebook quite a bit. People ask, how's wood PLA? How do you like it? Is it different? I just use 200 degrees and 70 degree on the bed, which is what I use on everything. That's what wood PLA looks like. It does have wood in it, theoretically.
It's more abrasive to your nozzle, so you're going to run through nozzles faster using it. But
and initially I was afraid of running through nozzles, but you can go on Amazon and order like 10 nozzles for $11 or $12. So don't sweat it. I keep them laying around. Here we go. Okay, now first I printed it, and then I stained it like you would stain wood to see if it would look like wood.
Oh,
dang!
That looks like a real piece of wood.
That is legitimate, my friend.
So I added the stars. It got really long, and I'll show you everything on it here in a second. And then I tweaked the, this actually looks pretty good. It's not as bold as the other one, but it's probably better. And then this thing is going to get super glued. It actually has a slot here, but my connector was slightly different. That thing will get super glued in there, so I can just set my phone down. And then the watch hangs off of here, and then I'll show you the back. Look at the wood grain on the back. Now that's what I'll do next.
Now that's amazing that it came out so well. You could print parts for a house. Like, let's say you have an old Victorian house that has the grand corners above the doors and stuff. They don't make that stuff anymore. You could just 3D print it, stain it, or paint it, and you've got your stuff for your house.
I have parquet floors in the front of the house, and one of our dogs chewed up a piece when they were pups. I can take this and totally recreate it. No one would
know that no one would be any wiser. You know,
the trick. This thing, I have it in my folder. It's just called wood plank, and like I said, I lay it on top. I try to not cut it up. I found that you can't have too many pieces in Tinkercad. It will stop working after a certain amount of pieces. I redesigned this all Saturday, and then it froze and would not let me edit it, and I had to redesign it again on Sunday. But the trick here with the wood piece is to stretch it to get that grain out, and then look at that, man. It looks like a real piece. That's
I don't understand. Is it a raised? What is the wood?
It is actually 3D.
How do you make this happen?
Think of a piece of wood that's 3-dimensional, and it does have raised. These are raised.
So you place it on top and then subtract from the other piece, right?
Right. So like I took this piece, and all I had of the original piece was right here, and then right here. And then I took it, and I would then take the end and stretch it as long as I need it. And then when it was there, I would take the piece of wood and lay it on top and match it. And the only problem with wood is that the bottom of the piece was like this. So then I had to take an invisible square underneath and then square it off. Now, it did raise off the bed.
Oh, it did lift on you.
It raised off the, but
how did that happen with PLA?
The next day, I went to bed. Everything looked good, and it was, I don't know, the base looked really nice. And when I woke up the next day, I was like, holy crap. But it looks like a piece of wood, if you ask me. I mean, get up.
Hey, man, it does look like you took it right off the side of an old house.
Yeah, like a shingle. And so then I would go in and trim.
Like with all of its imperfections. You've created something beautiful, Jim.
Yeah. And then like on the watch stand, I laid a piece of wood in front of it and pushed it as far in as I could until the grain still stood out. And then I would take the invisible blocks and cut here and cut here and cut here until the only piece of wood left was on the front. And then this, you see right here, this is from not having a support. I just didn't want to, supports on this look horrible.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it's a piece of wood. So I took a lighter and I lit it up before I stained it just to smooth it out a little bit. But, and then finally, I'll take my watch off here.
That is very cool, Jim.
And my phone is here.
You're going to have to send me that, whatever that 3D wood thing is. I want to be able to integrate it into some stuff.
What I really should do is do a story with links to the stuff I use. So that's what it looks like loaded up.
That's quite legitimate, man. I can see this being a...
Anybody else get that credit card number? I think I got it.
Yeah, right. I can see this being something on Instagram or Pinterest or something, you know?
You know, it's going on Facebook. Everybody on Facebook, I showed them my 3D mock-up, and 110 people reacted. So then I'm going to go to Instagram and put this out too. And
awesome.
But the trick is to explain this is not wood. You know,
yeah.
No one's gonna understand.
Are you going to start selling those things?
Nah, hell no.
Why the heck not?
I don't know. This is who else has a Jim T. Graham custom made leather iPhone wallet? Me. That's who.
I
That's
have a Jim T. Graham Billy Hellmaker custom Glock holster, and I have a Billy Hellmaker custom belt. So why the heck not? Let me get something else. I'm just.
And I'm creating a disturbing trend of not charging anyone. So
that is quite disturbing, man, because time is money. You know it.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's my thing. So anyway, this is the coolest thing I've made. And I'm very excited. It turned, by the way, 25% infill on this. Not a good idea. It shortened my time to 17 hours, but the back snapped right off. So, and also this snapped in half as well right here. So a big question is, what do I use to glue these pieces together? Sometimes you glue multiple.
Hold on. If you're snapping pieces, I don't think you've got enough adhesion between layers then. That PLA did not snap at all, period. You are not hot enough when you're putting it down. It's not melting it into the layer below it. Now,
could be the wall thickness. You may not have enough wall thickness.
Well, I know that I went with the Cura setting, which was 0.8, but do you guys go 1.2?
And wall thickness?
Yeah.
I go, it's always a multiple of your nozzle. So what nozzle are you using?
Yeah, so it'd be 0.8. You could do 0.4 for one layer, 0.8 for two, 1.2 for three, 1.6 for four.
So I have
I usually use 1.2, Jim.
I have a 0.4 and I do 1.2. 0.8 is too thin of a wall, man.
I know that 1.2 is what most people, that's what I used initially, but that's what Cura said. So I thought, well, I'll go with Cura, but I was wrong. So let me say that I use thick CA.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a pretty good amount on there. I wasn't light on it because, of course, it's not solid. And then I kicked it, and I was afraid the kick was going to ruin my ability to stain it. But the kick had no effect on it. You can see it right there.
He's saying everyone. He didn't literally kick it. He used kicker.
I used kicker. Yes.
Kicker.
And then I kicked it right there at the seam.
I've also used foam tack on parts that needed to get glued together. That's worked really well too. So.
Foam tack is awesome for gluing stuff together, by the way. It's just a good rubbery cement. It doesn't need foam. You can use it on anything. It's basically, foam tack is like goop tuned down just a little bit.
I just it doesn't dry hard though. It dries soft, right? Isn't it flexible?
No, it dries hard, but it's still it's hard as where you could put your fingernail in it and make a dent, but you can't just like rip it apart. It's almost like hot glue when it becomes hardened.
This is something I actually use a lot, and it was a fast print. This sits on top of that box back there, and these are all the tools that came with the CR10. So if you need to change a nozzle or tighten something up, anything you need is in this little thing, and it keeps everything in one place. And I wish my whole life had one of these. Like, I want one for my body, one for my truck.
I don't know, man. I've printed some pretty cool stuff in the past, and I don't see anything sitting here to show you guys, like, besides those items. I've got stuff floating around everywhere, you know?
Hey, I had something happen that I did not think that would happen. The tube that goes into the block here, right there.
That's the PTE tube or whatever. What is it?
Yeah, it threads into the heater block. I went up to eat lunch and everything was fine. And when I came down, it had unthreaded itself.
Yeah.
And PLA was just everywhere. And the thing was printing 3 inches above nothing, you know?
These are the trials and tribulations. Nobody ever said, yeah, start 3D printing. It's super easy.
It's so easy. Check that out. That's an aluminum extruder upgrade that I bought.
Print that for a second.
Why would anyone need that? I don't know.
That's high resolution right there, buddy. So I'm thinking about literally getting, I know you guys know, but I'm thinking about getting the new Prusa Mark III when it comes out.
Do you still have your order in, right?
No, I canceled it, man.
Man, I want that so bad.
Yeah. So it's an $800 kit. It's like, what is it? $1,200 for the ready to run version. But
yeah, it's $800 when it's $700 for the kit.
And I don't have the ability to share my screen right now. Oh, I can do it. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep. That's the 2S.
So that's the 2S, the Prusa i3 Mark II, and the newest one is the Prusa i3 Mark III right here. So it's $1,000 for the built one, and it went down, Jason, didn't it?
No, it went up actually. It was 700, I believe, is when I placed my order.
Matt, why wouldn't you want to the new CR10S that automatically senses when the filament's out and pauses?
This one does too. I don't know. I just want the genuine Prusa quality. I mean, everyone says everything good about this printer and nothing bad.
Well, the print bed is much smaller.
It has got a tiny print bed. I'll give you that much. But I've got that big old Delta arm printer over there that can do 8 inches wide items. So
okay.
Oh, you should show people the caddy grill I did for you when you after you painted it.
Yes, 1 second. So
yeah, this is a good looking printer, and they have been sold out on pre-order. Like they did all their pre-orders. These things are selling like RC airplanes when you do pre-orders for them and stuff, right? It's just like people get so hyped up and they want the printer and they prepay for it, and the next thing you know, they've moved to February instead of December, and people are like canceling their orders. I can't take this crap. Well, you got to wait it out because this is apparently a very nice printer. Look at that build volume. They actually printed that to show the build volume. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. That drawer that I showed you was a 300 long, so it was the exact length of the bed. I was like, this is a test to see if it'll work, and it did. I was blown away. So I drive a 76 Eldorado, and Matt Gunn printed this. It's the first thing I ever received I didn't understand how cool it was at the time, I guess. So then I took some model paints that I use on RC trucks, and I painted it like my cataract.
Yeah, buddy. I need to do another one of those. That was my first big print, and it turned out wonderfully from the very get-go, so
it has everything going for it, laying on its back like this. It's all.
Have you guys ever messed with multi-material stuff yet? Multicolor?
No.
Here was the first one I tried. So I printed it white with a white base.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically the magic numbers for my monoprice mini. Anyway, but then I paused it at a layer and then switched it to black, and then so you can make like a sign. That's all 3D printed material. It's not like Sharpied or anything.
Yeah. Did you have to purge the old color out first, or just put it straight in and let it run?
Yeah. Well, what I do is I paused it. When you pause it, it lifts the print head, and then I did my normal procedure for changing filament is to move the lever,
pull the trigger
to free up the extruder motor, and then I push filament through, and then as it's feeding through, then I kind of not yank it, but I pull it out rather fast it'll create a glob on the end to help prevent any clogging issues inside the Bowden tube.
Mm-hmm.
But then so I'll pull it out, pull it through, and then I'll get the other one through, and I'll run enough filament into it until the color's solid by itself. Clip it off with the snippers, and then hit resume, and then it goes right down and picks back up where it left off and keeps going.
I did that. I tried to do that. When I pause mine, it stays down on it, and it just starts melting.
Yeah.
So. I did that with a Nazareth logo for my daughter, the rock band Nazareth. So the base was black, and then when it started printing Nazareth, I literally yanked it out. I did not do the push, and it stayed, Matt. And so what I would say is if you're going to do that, make your secondary layer tall, and that way you can get through your black and red will get on. It looked pretty killer. She put it on her guitar.
And there is if you go to the Prusa website, there is a web page that they have that will basically auto create the G code for you. If you just basically tell it what layer you want it to do the pause, it'll inject the proper code to pause, lift the print head, and all that stuff to allow you to make the change.
That's that Prusa quality, man.
Ain't nothing but a G code, baby. Death Row is a company that pays me.
Oh gosh. So, yep, I'm having fun doing prints. I'd print all sorts of RC stuff, by the way, antenna holders for drones and RC cars. And oh yeah, you guys, I think everybody has seen this 3D print. If you haven't, then you haven't been around enough, but it's the Tiny Whoop camera holder. That was like one of the very first things I ever printed. It is what it is. You see it right there, a little Tiny Whoop holder. So, what'd you print there, Jason? A gun?
Oh, that was, yeah, this is the Thorn hand cannon from Destiny. It's got a working trigger and hammer.
Jason, you've taken it so much further than I have.
Jason is the official damn it king. I mean, he's the best pilot, and now he's the best 3D printer.
It's just
I
fun.
made a skull. I like turtles.
Mm-hmm.
I like turtles.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love it.
This
I
is
love
getting
it.
thrown away after the podcast, but this was my glasses holder, and then my camera sat in it, and I decided it was too stupid to live in my office anymore. So this thing's hitting the road.
Basically, that was like for your son. You know, you're like, hey, Truman, look here. And he's like, nah.
Yeah. Well, he's getting it, and if he doesn't want it, I'm throwing it away. Everything's wood PLA with me now. It's all going to be wood. I'm going to
yeah.
everything look
So
natural. Yeah.
So let's talk. I'm going to do a quick share again. And before I do that, I'm going to pull up my software here, and I can't find it. Where is technical difficulties? You guys just talk amongst yourself for a minute. Here we are.
Found it.
Boots with the fur, with the fur.
All right, so I'll do a share. So you guys, what do you use for your software?
Yes, very important. If you don't have any much of an idea what we're talking about, this is probably a number 2 thing you should know after which printer to buy. I use Cura 3.1.0.
So
use Cura and Slicer.
Yep, I
with
use
a 3 instead of an E.
I use Matter Control, Cura, and now I paid $100 and something for Simplify 3D, and I could not be happier. I love this program. So basically, if you look at it, it's just, you know, we all have the standard screen right here. This is my build volume, and this is the build table. And then if you click into either process or name or type, it gives you all of your settings from extruder to layer, additions, infill, support, temperature, cooling, G-code, messing with it, your scripts, your speed, everything is very easily to adjust. And then, by the way, we were talking, you know, Jim, you were saying, how do you make things bigger? I've got the ability here to change scaling quite easily. So if I do uniform scaling, change this to 400%, boom, there it is. Now you wonder, what the hell is this thing? Well, it is it's easier to show you guys, but it's something I made in Tinkercad, and it holds a dime underneath it right there. And when you print it out, I stick it to the back of a gimbal, and it is a counterweight for a heavier lens. This is just some of the random stuff that I've made in this program, and I like this one a lot. And then when you say prepare to print, you go in here. It shows you the layers. See how you can reduce the layers and do that. You can see each layer as it builds it like that. It shows how the print head moves.
Oh wow.
Yep. So there it is, filling it in. Then it covers it up, moves across, and then the coloring here is the speed. So it changes the speed to prevent overheating the thing. So when it's going around right here, it's going really, really, it's going, let's see, pretty fast around. And when it gets to the top, it slows down right inside of there to prevent it from overheating. So,
Matt, what do they print the perimeter for other than to know where it's going to print?
I use the perimeter. I think of a lot of people do is to purge the system. So there's if you were to just start printing right there, a lot of times the filament is not ready to rock, and it's going to take a couple of seconds for it to start laying down. So the perimeter right here serves
the skirt.
The skirt serves a purpose of priming your print head. Now the other thing to do is, let's get out of this mode and go straight back into here, is that you can change that. Instead of using skirt, you can use a brim, and the brim will move all the way into it and link itself to the edge over here.
Jason is a big fan of the brim. I hear him say it to me every time I print.
Well, like your piece, your wooden phone stand, if you would have used a brim, you probably wouldn't have had that lifting adhesion issue.
Absolutely.
I want you to know you said that to me, even though you weren't there. When I saw it, I went, Jason Cole said use a brim.
Another thing is to use a raft. So a raft actually builds another layer underneath your layer, and it separates it by like microns, if you will. So in this one, see, it's made you can see the brim it built underneath it. So here it is right here. Look at that. So now we're getting into it builds, look at that. So it lays out this pattern here, and it fills it in, and there's your raft. And then it starts to build the item on top of it. And the whole point is to keep it from peeling off. Look at that, how it makes all the layers. You can see each movement of the print head as it goes back.
Yeah, that's cool. Cura, you can see each layer individually, but it doesn't show the print path like that, the tool path, at least that I've ever seen. I haven't seen that on there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, then it goes
is that why it's worth $150?
Not at all. No, this is sort of fluff in my opinion. It doesn't really, I don't ever use this. I just like that it prints pretty dang well. So I've printed in 3 different programs, and I've found that this is my favorite so far.
Well, one place where you might want to use that is decorative items where there's like a flat base on top or something.
Yeah.
On Slicer and Cura, you can too, even, and then probably this one too. There's different types of patterns that the toolpath can make for the top or bottom layer. So you can make it look a certain way. It can be zigzag, it can be concentric. My favorite on Slicer is called the Hilbert curve, and it's this weird little zigzag like pattern that it does, but it creates a beautiful finish on top that's not just lines of layer. It's this really intricate pattern that's really decorative.
Yeah.
And so using that layer view, you can change the different settings and then see how it's going to look before you actually print it to find out.
Heck yeah. I bet you're wondering what this is.
Well, it's for Preston.
That's my son.
It's you put it in the freezer and make things.
No, it's for the bed of his Ford Raptor.
Nice.
Truck. It's a pickup truck box that I put a lid on, and he wanted a box for the back of his truck. Isn't that crazy?
That's awesome.
I built it. Let me get rid of that. Exit preview. Get rid of that. Remove truck box. So yeah, I printed this out for him, and it's in the back of his little Ford Raptor that he has.
I would love, maybe we do a show where you guys talk about creating things. Like I have a USB socket here that I use everything on, and I want to create a holder that's going to screw to my desk. So this thing is off the surface and on the back, and it just pops in and slides in. And I want you to show, take a square box or something and measure it, and then go into Tinkercad or wherever you go, and then make it and then print it. And that'd be awesome.
I agree. And then see exactly how close it is. This is a skull I made. That's just a pencil holder.
Yeah, those wireframes are cool.
Yeah, it turned out okay. I had some issues with blobbing and infill and stuff like that, but overall, see, I pressed prepare to print, and it's like this is a slicing. See, this one's a very complex cut. I broke it. Look down there at the bottom. It's like. Here's Cura, Ultimaker Cura, and it's like the same. There's my build volume and all that sort of stuff. And look at that. That's my Rostock Max, the entire thing. And then there's my height limit right there, because the Delta arms that come down.
Yeah.
Now, why is Cura free?
This is the $1 million question, if you will. I don't know. I don't know what the difference. I mean, I just enjoy the quality of the print from Simplify 3D. maybe it's seat of the pants feeling because I paid for it. I don't know, but I noticed that it looks better, in my opinion, in quality. And that's all that matters to me.
Well, I can't bring myself to spend that $150 yet, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
at some
wouldn't.
point I will.
I wouldn't. If you're happy with what you're using, don't even mess around with it, you know?
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
One more thing. This is not related to this topic, but I had issues after issues, and I couldn't figure it out. I was kept throwing codes, and I don't know where it went. But in your heater block is a thermistor.
Yep.
Have you guys heard of that? So
Didn't you like have hot beverage in it for work? Construction workers normally carry it.
Yes. Not an igloo. I'm having camera trouble.
Yeah.
So anyway, the thermistor was not soldered on properly from the factory. So I fixed it. I opened it up, and luckily I can solder. But just to show what you can get on Amazon, I bought all these thermistors for like $8.
I bought the same thing. I literally have the exact same thing of thermistors.
Nice case. That'd take about 4 hours to print. But I don't know. I love that everything's cheap. I love that you can take it all apart. I love that you can solder it all together. It's just a pretty sweet. It is definitely a hobby. This is a tool.
It is a hobbyist hobby. Yep.
And the problem is, or the excitement of it, is that I feel like I feel the same with 3D printing, the highs and the lows and the frustration and the accomplishment I did when I first started doing FPV. You know, it's like I didn't know anything about FPV. I built these rigs. I had terrible signal quality. I couldn't get anywhere flying around. And then all of a sudden I learn about it and I start doing well. It's the same with 3D printing, except maybe a little more frustrating with 3D printing.
When I was printing this drawer this morning, I started it yesterday about this time. And so I was like, all right, I'll have a drawer at least. And it stopped. And I think it was due to the breaking glass. I don't know now. I guess I'll know next time I print. But I said to my wife, it stopped for no reason. And she said, I thought all your prints stopped for no reason. It seems like you have trouble with every print. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Dude, she is on you like nothing else, man. She's a smart cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of an overview of what we have, what we've done. And man, I'm not kidding you. I have a list here that we are not getting into. Hot end replacement, thermistor fix, why mirrors are good, melted tubes, replacing fans, aluminum extruders, reconstructing control box, and all these other, I mean, that could be one show just talking about how to go in and buy the right fans, where to get them, take them apart, solder it in, all that stuff. And people do all these things. So there's a lot to talk about here.
Oh, yeah.
And we just wanted to get together. We always try to mention it in our RC podcast, but then we always feel guilty because we've strayed off the course of RC. So I kept saying to the guys, let's do a 3D only podcast. We'll see if anyone cares. If you care, shoot us a PM, or you can now post in our videos. We fixed that. So yeah, this is great. If you don't like it, I guess you could don't down thumb us. You could say, I think I'll stick to the RC podcast, or you could say this is very interesting. You know, there's really a lot people can say. Don't you think, guys?
I agree.
But we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We had a pretty good amount of live viewers, comparatively speaking, to our RC world, and which almost the same amount, just slightly less than our RC live viewership. So that is awesome. We hope you enjoyed it.
And tomorrow we'll be back again, same time, 2:00, with the regular RC podcast, and you're not going to want to miss it. I posted it earlier, but we're going to be giving away a set of these Fat Shark Teleporter V4 FPV goggles.
Nice.
You could win these live on the show tomorrow.
What time do they have to be on the show?
The show starts at 2:00. It ends normally around 3 Central Time, and at any point during the show, we could do the drawing.
So that's let's talk about that. At any point during the show, and let's say 3/4 of the way through, we could figure out everybody and then do a random drawing, and then boom, but they have to be live to win. They can't be gone, right?
You have to be present, and you have to have posted a comment.
There you go. That's what I was getting at. You have to post.
Okay. And if you're watching this, you can click on RCG videos, the worst YouTube name ever. But you click on that, and this was the name of this channel predates any of us here. You can click on that and then subscribe. And then when we go live tomorrow, you'll get an email that says, hey, it's live. And you can click on that. You'll be logged into the chat where you need to post. And that's how we're going to find out who you are. We won't know if you're on unless you're in the chat.
That's right.
And then tomorrow morning, I reckon, Jason, I'm going to send a mass email out. I believe it's the best way to do it, to everyone on the mass email list. And it'll link to your article. And we'll be like, hey, check us out. And that'll be another way for you to be aware of it.
Cool. And I've got a fun story about how this all came to be. And so I'll tell that tomorrow.
Good. I was about to touch on that, but that's a much better idea.
I thought that was a really sad story. No, it's a fun story. Anyway, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just filling my own dead hair in my head.
I had 3 inappropriate comments, and I edited myself right here live on YouTube, which is not normal.
Good job.
Sometimes my wife will say, why aren't you talking? And I'll be like, I'm editing myself right now. It's just not a normal occurrence. Okay, well, there's a lot of stuff we could talk about that has nothing to do with 3D printing or RC, but we'll save that for the RC podcast. At the very end, that's generally when we go completely off topic.
Yep.
I'm Jim T. Graham. I want to thank everyone who hung out with us randomly and did not know we were showing up today. I want to thank Jason and Matt for taking time out of the busy schedules in the world of radio control and the world's largest RC website, RCGroups.com.
Nice.
For hanging out with us. Thank you. I didn't take a breath through the whole dang thing.
I can tell.
I was petering out. All right, y'all. Join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. I tend to never want to hang up the phone, and Jason can attest to that. He's like, I got to go eat some Chick-fil-A and get a haircut, man.
I just ate Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A. They don't have it enough up here, man. They got to travel 30 miles in either direction to go to a Chick-fil-A.
This podcast has been brought to you by Chick-fil-A. America's not really. Okay. Bye, y'all. 3D printing.
Bye, y'all.
I got to go talk to Mr. Bowden.